Hey, thanks a lot, Chris. This is awesome. Oh, I can't believe I won. I want to thank everybody, and on behalf of myself and Jim Bruce and everybody at the Paul Goebel Show, winning this award, this PodCRASH Award, it means a lot. We've been doing this for a long time, and to finally have something to show for it, it's a big deal. And just to all my fellow podcasters, hey, maybe everybody doesn't have one, maybe, but this is we can share it. We'll just keep this one at my house, right? No, seriously, this is a great thing, and it's podcasting is a great medium. I think let's give it up for podcasts, right? Come on, right? I mean, where else can you talk about something you're so passionate about? I mean, the internet is it's everywhere. It's all over the world, right? How about Al Gore, right? Give it up for Al Gore. Without him, Al Gore deserves one of these for sure. And I want to thank Obama. Having Obama for 4 more years, it's going to be great for podcasting for sure. 4 more years of podcasting under Obama. I got all kinds of great ideas. So that's going to be awesome. And just look around you. Look around the audience at all the great podcasters who are here tonight. Sharon Houston is here, and what she lacks in, look, she makes up for in comedy and entertainment, and where else could you do that but in the world of podcasting? You know what I mean? There's so many just brilliant, hilarious, talented podcasters out there, and Chris Gore, thank God, this guy finally had found a place where he can, express himself. Found a medium where he can get his voice out there, and people can finally figure out what is Chris Gore all about. What are his points of view, because for so long, you see Chris Gore. Oh, yeah, I hear that guy likes movies, but then what, right? Then what do you know about him? Nothing. This is the place, the internet's the place for that, and the PodCRASH Awards are really the only people who are honoring people for that and showing, hey, good job. It's just a pat on the back. That's really all it is. I mean, it's not like you can sell it. It's not like you're getting any money for this. No one's going to buy this. But, it's just more like an attaboy. Like, hey, good job, guys. Wait, hey, I listen, and maybe I'm the only one, but this is what you get, congratulations. And, not everybody is going to get one tonight, but that doesn't mean you're a loser. We're all winners in, the world of podcasting. We're all winners. I mean, truth be told, everyone here in this audience could have a podcast for all we know. Listening to podcasts is like painting the Brooklyn Bridge. By the time you get to the end, there's like 100 more podcasts you have to listen to. You can't listen to them all, and they're not all. There's some podcasts, quite frankly, that shouldn't even exist. There's still lost podcasts. Who is recording a lost podcast? The show hasn't been on the air for years. There's still guys talking about it. What? Are you retarded? Why would you do that? Why would you make a podcast about one show and then even keep doing it? First of all, what do you do when the show's in reruns? Do you do a rerun of your podcast? Or do you talk about that episode again? I don't fucking get that. Cricket, CJ, explain this to me. You do a podcast about True Blood, and they have 6 episodes, and then what? You guys sit around and talk about how great that season was? I don't understand. Or you just talk about, man, that was some bloody stuff. Oh, what other bloody show is there? Let's talk about the Vampire Diaries. There's blood on that show. Let's talk about Reba. She had her period. That was a bloody show. Who fucking cares? Have this make sense to me. Please, somebody explain it to me. But if you can't explain it to me, at least you gave me this. This means, this is all the explanation I need in terms of podcasting. The PodCRASH, the Chris Gore, PodCRASH, Crash the Pod Award Crashers with Chris Gore. This award is going to go right up with all my other awards. My Audience Seat from Conan O'Brien, my TV Land Ultimate Fan Award. All right there. All my awards that people have given me that don't exist anywhere else. This is where it's going to go. And then my kids will go, what is that thing? And I'll have to explain it to them, and they won't understand it. And that's really the message, I think, that we want to get out there for tonight, is the children. It's about the kids today. You know, they're on the internet all the time, but are they listening to podcasts? What kind of podcasts are they listening to? Who does Justin Bieber have a podcast? Carly Rae Jepsen, you know, is she going to do a podcast? Is she out there in the interwebs? You know, get those people, get the new kids listening. You know, there's kids today they're probably recording a podcast like at school. They're in 7th grade in their, you know, study hall recording a podcast. These kids are on the fringes. They're on the fringe of recording. And that's another, speaking of that, have you guys ever listened to that Fringe podcast? Again, the show's going to be done very soon. Why do you want to do a podcast about? It's a great show. I love it. But how you do a podcast about one show that hardly anybody watches? And speaking of watching shows, I just want to take a minute to say, fuck you, Jim Bruce. You know, you suggested we watch The Neighbors every week. And I thought, ha, that will be funny. We'll watch The Neighbors, and we'll talk about how terrible it is, and it'll be canceled, and then we won't have to do it anymore. Well, because of you, it gets picked up. Because 3 extra people are watching it every week, it gets picked up, and it's on every single week, and will be for the whole season. And now I have to watch it all season, and I have to make my guests watch it. Every time a guest comes in, they're like, why'd you make me watch that shitty show? They're already watching Fringe, and if they're not watching Fringe, you know, regularly, they don't get it. So they're watching that and The Neighbors. Fuck you, Jim Bruce. That's, you know, I'm glad everybody is here to witness me say this. You're off my show. This is the end of the road for me and you, Jim Bruce. From now on, it's just me, maybe Tom Griffin. It really doesn't matter. It's not like people are listening for the mashup. I seriously doubt anyone is listening to my podcast just so they can hear Jim Bruce do his shitty impressions of Ray Romano. I seriously doubt that. So, you know, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but I think we're all better off for it. And, you know, if you know, do your own podcast. Hey, there's an idea. Do your own shitty podcast. Jim Bruce, you know, runs his trap for 45 minutes. Sounds like a winner to me. That's a no-brainer, right? Hey, who wants to listen to Jim Bruce run his trap? It can't be any worse than some of the other shit out there, I'll tell you that. Hey, I got a great idea for a podcast, Jim Bruce. Why don't you go and interrupt other people's podcasts while they're interrupting someone else's podcast? How about that? You call it Bruce Crash. That's what you call it, Jim Bruce Crash. You go to wherever Chris Gore is crashing someone's podcast and you crash that. And then you listen to it. Oh, that sounds easy. What, right? You just let them do all the work. And you don't even have to say anything. You just go and sit there and listen to it and record it. And it's like when they made that Psycho remake, right? And they just reshot it, you know, shot for shot. That's what you do. You say, oh, there's my podcast, but it's a tribute to someone else's podcast. And we're just saying the same things they're saying. All you're doing is recording it. Here's what you do. You play a podcast, record it, and then you record yourself introducing that podcast, and then you say it's an episode of your podcast. Fuck. You know what? I'm going to do that. Saved me a lot of time, a lot of hassle. I won't have to book any more guests. I think I'm going to get started on that now. So make sure you listen to my new podcast, Paul Goebel's Salute to Podcasts. That's what it's going to be. Starting next week, listen to me on iTunes, Paul Goebel's Salute to Podcasts. Starting with